RTE Radio 1.
Now, there was name-calling, mud-slinging, nasty personal attacks in the first US presidential debate, which took place overnight. In the space of 90 minutes, President Donald Trump and the Democratic candidate Joe Biden, they tackled topics such as the pandemic, racism, healthcare, the economy and taxes. But the debate frequently descended into a shouting match, with Biden at one point resorting to a very frustrated, "Will you shut up, man?" I'm joined by journalist Lise and American political strategist Erol Morkoç to discuss the ups and downs of the first three of the scheduled debates between the two candidates. And I know that you will have heard lots of clips over the course of the morning, but it's no harm. It was such an extraordinary event. Let's remind us of some of what we heard there. The two candidates interrupting each other all of the time. And one of those exchanges led to this frustrated response from Joe Biden as he told his opponent to just shut up.
Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right, gentlemen. I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We have We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right.
I'm just feeling sorry for the Fox News host there, Chris Wallace, who tried to moderate Lise. Who won?
Well, I don't think it was an edifying spectacle.
It's awful.
It really was. I think you had Donald Trump, who really came across as the sort of messy, belligerent boor that, could clear a free bar in about 2 minutes flat, and then you had Joe Biden, who, in fairness, the bar was set fairly low by President Trump, who had spent weeks wailing on him about his fragility and his physical and mental fragility. So really, Joe Biden, all he had to do was stay upright and get a few sentences out. So Joe Biden probably came out reasonably unscathed, but I don't think this would have moved the dial one way or the other in terms of swaying the very small number of undecided voters that were there.
If you just put on your headphones there, because we've Erol on the line. And Erol, I'm interested to know what you think about Donald Trump's performance in the first instance, because yes, some people might have seen it as boorish and he continually interrupted, but his base, the people who like Donald Trump, may just think that that's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yes, in many ways I agree. I mean, this obviously speaks to the absolute polarization of our country. I mean, this was one of the most unorthodox debates I've ever seen. And the greatest problem we can identify is the debate basically was just underscoring their personalities. I don't think it shifted the issue on anybody at all. I would bet that cardboard cutouts could have stood up there and they would have had the same sort of aftermarket commentary. I think the biggest difference is that Donald Trump never yielded to Joe Biden's lies. He demanded he answer why he wouldn't denounce the immoral and improper threat of court packing. He was unwilling to call murderous arsonists anything other than peaceful protesters. He talked about shutting down schools that would put our most disadvantaged at greatest peril. My girlfriend's a kindergarten teacher in Detroit, Michigan. Shutting down schools for these beautiful young children getting our start in life, that breaks people's hearts. So China Joe, I do surprisingly commend him. He tried to get away from that far-left Green New Deal, but he then told bold-faced lies about things that he said about what Donald Trump said when he, direct quote, had called servicemen stupid bastards, which does not play very well to the working-class people out there. In addition, we have to say for 90 minutes, Trump made a confident and commanding and compelling case for his reelection while taking Joe Biden to task for supporting radical policies that are going to not only raise taxes, but destroy jobs and make our communities less safe.
All right.
Now, after tonight's debate, the choice between Trump's 47 months of delivering results versus Joe Biden's 47 years as a failed career politician, a.k.a. loser, has never been clear. In 35 days from now, the American people are going to reelect President Trump in a landslide up and down the ballot.
Okay, well, we know where you stand. Let's talk about the income taxes. How did Donald Trump deal with that? The revelations that came out this week about the $750 that he paid in federal taxes in the year that he was elected.
Well, when, of course, this story with great timing fell just before the first debate, and this was put to in the fact that he did only pay $750 over 2 years and didn't pay taxes out from 10 of the past 15 years. He sort of pivoted to his usual broad thing, like, I've paid millions and hundreds of millions in taxes. But again, there's been no evidence that he has. He hasn't. He has actually been the only president, or the first president since Richard Nixon, not to release his tax returns
because they're subject to an audit. He keeps telling us.
But we're waiting for an audit. But
let's just take a listen to him responding to that, and then we'll talk more about it. Let's have a listen.
Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges.
That's the first time he has said the 750 figure was incorrect.
Yes, well, absolutely. Again, it was hard to pin President Trump down on actual issues. Again, we had a lot of sort of the sweeping statements that we're used to hearing from him when they talked about climate change. For instance, we get this sort of fairly sweeping statement. I want crystal clear water and clean, beautiful air. We have the lowest carbon. Look at our numbers now. While granted, some of the greenhouse gases numbers have gone down, that's basically attributed to policies that were in place. I mean, since coming into power, President Trump has rolled back or diluted about 100 different environmental issues and a lot of the clean air directives put in place by President Obama. So again, it was quite a lot of bluster, but not enough of substance. And, but this is again, this is what we're used to. I mean, anybody who watched that debate, to be frank, who was shocked or surprised at what we got last night, I'm going to say, where were you for the last 4 years?
I was surprised at Joe Biden actually calling him a liar and a clown.
He called him a liar, a clown. He called him a fool.
Is that not what Donald Trump would have wanted Joe Biden to do?
Absolutely. I mean, he was clearly trying to, he was dangling pieces of red meat in front of him, trying to get him to become emotional and to kind of, take off his jacket and come across the floor swinging at him would have been perfect. I think possibly one of the more unedifying exchanges when Joe Biden was talking about his son Beau, and he was actually tackling the fact that it's been reported that President Trump has said some incredibly disparaging things about members of the defence forces, and there was an interruption from President Trump where he said, "Oh, are you talking about Hunter, who is the other son? Beau Biden actually died of brain cancer in 2015, and Then, when it was clear that he was talking about Beau, it would have been all President Trump had to do was go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're talking about Beau, sorry for your trouble," whatever. And then immediately starts wailing on Hunter Biden, who's been caught up in an issue to do with, it's a complicated kind of business issue to do with, did he profit from, making money in the Ukraine and Russia by being the vice president's son? It's kind of complicated. It's been the subject of two Republican-led Senate committees who came out with the finding this week that recently that while there was issues of concern, it couldn't be,
but
proven
every chance that Donald Trump got last night, he went back to that.
He kind of went back,
story.
and it was unedifying. It was ugly.
I want to play this clip, and Erol, I'll bring you in after this. This sums up the mood of the debate as the moderator, Chris Wallace, insists that Trump stop interrupting his opponent.
I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less than
plenty.
No, less than you have.
What did you make of that strategy, Erol, that President Trump appeared to have of just interrupting continuously?
Well, again, as we all know, President Trump is not a debate club product. He's not somebody who comes in and respects the decorum of perhaps debating people who have now been fact-checked 33 times by independent fact-checkers of making incorrect statements. I will say that there was a little bit of gamesmanship to throw Joe Biden off his kilter a little bit, and I think that was part of the strategy. Just to backtrack for 1 second, when Donald Trump was speaking about Joe Biden's son, he was only referencing only referencing Hunter. Beau Biden was an American hero. He is a Bronze Star winner.
Yeah, but I heard that. And when Joe Biden tried to talk about Beau, he was continuously diverted by Donald Trump, who wanted to talk about Hunter. He wouldn't let him pay that tribute to his son.
Well, he tried to conflate what Donald Trump was saying about Hunter and then tried to say that you were saying this about Beau. So it was a little bit of Orwellian doublespeak by Joe Biden to try to catch the American people unaware of what Donald Trump was doing. Donald Trump never once was trying to disparage Beau, who is an American hero and somebody who we have great respect for. Hunter Biden, in contrast, has been discharged for cocaine use from the Navy. They found crack pipes in his rental cars. He's got a very questionable record. I'm not going to go down that line. That's everybody knows what that's about. That's not what we're here to talk about. So, Donald Trump stood up for the American voter, who stands against these champagne socialists, these people who tried to twist things and talk about K-shaped recoveries. I have 2 economics degrees. With unemployment down to 8.4% and V-shaped recoveries, Democrat states think they're going to hurt Trump by keeping these states closed. Meanwhile, they're just hurting America.
Errol, can I ask you? I want to ask you about one particular moment in the debate, which I found quite shocking listening to it. But when the candidates were discussing racism and extremism, President Trump made reference to the Proud Boys, which is a well-established far-right group which advocates violence, and he told them to stand back and stand by. I mean, is that a call to arms?
No, I'd like to actually clarify that. They were talking about, so the Proud Boys, nothing to do with the Republican Party. We have no association with them. We don't have any alliance with them. They go out there and they get into fistfights with Antifa. Now, Antifa is something that Joe Biden has said doesn't exist. Joe Biden isn't willing to condemn arsonists, murderers, and looters, and even tell them to get off the street. So if there's people out there misrepresenting themselves as Trump supporters under the flag of the Proud Boys, and Trump says, hey, you should not be out there doing violence, I will concede he made a mistake on the second part of that sentence when he said stand down, because it did sound like it was implying that was part of his like sort of his team, and that was just, I think, a Freudian slip.
And he told them to stand by, so be ready for action. These people who don body armor and firearms.
You're implying to be ready for action. He was intending to say these are the people on the street looting and fighting. I don't want any of our guys out there looting and fighting. But if this election comes down to fraudulent ballots and unsolicited ballots, and all of a sudden the election's in question and people are out fighting the street, I'm very happy that my president is telling anybody who would co-opt his message and go out there and create violence to stand back. And I think he chose 4 words there, and I think that was a mistake by President Trump.
Lise?
Well, I think that was one of the more jaw-dropping moments of the debate. It was put very clearly to him. It was a softball question. I mean, it goes to show where we are, that you actually have to ask a sitting president of the United States in the middle of a national debate whether he will condemn white supremacy. I mean, even that in itself is quite extraordinary. And what he said, he did not ask them to stand down. He asked them to stand by and to stand back, which is completely different. And it was immediately clear how the Proud Boys, and let's remember, I mean, this is a alt-right hate group who spew misogynistic rhetoric all the time. These are disruptive. These are bad guys, basically, to use sort of a Trumpism. And it was put to him to basically. I mean, you'd think it'd be a fairly simple thing. It's just say that white supremacists have no place in American democracy, that America is a place for all. And the easiest of softball questions, and he just whiffed it. I mean, it is actually quite extraordinary. And it is the one thing that is getting enormous pickup in the media now. I mean, everybody's kind of zoomed in on this, and if he wanted to put this question to bed, he certainly hasn't. I mean, this is something that President Trump is going to face further questions on the next time he's in front of a microphone. And it is part of a pattern we've seen of his infamous both sides quote about the violence in Charlottesville and so on. If he wants to be seen as serious about condemning white supremacy, he has 2 more debates, and one would imagine that they will come back to this again to see can they get a more considered and a more robust answer on this particular question.
Errol, you wanted to come in there?
I would like to, because what is going on is an exercise in compelled speech. Donald Trump has disavowed the KKK, declared them a terrorist organization. He has disavowed all of these things, and he's put forth the most pro-black, pro-Hispanic, pro-woman, $500 billion platinum plan for black-owned businesses, prison reform. We're talking historical black college funding. The idea that he's going to have to go out there every single time, it's Orwellian doublespeak. They want him to say, will you condemn white supremacy, when he's done it multiple times, verified, just so it implies that if he doesn't say it on their command, like a dog, that somehow he is standing for white supremacy. He didn't take that bait in Charlottesville when they told that horrific, salacious lie that he said that white supremacists were very fine people, when he was referring to the historians and academics
Erol,
who had a permit to protest the taking down of statues, so we do not make the same mistakes
Erol,
in our history.
we're going to leave it there.
That is
Okay, sorry to cut across you, but I am up against the clock. We're going to leave it there. We're going to look forward to the vice presidential candidates debate, Mike Pence and Kamala Harris, which is coming up. But for now, Lise Hand and Erol Morkoç, thank you for joining us on the programme. Next up, with COVID restrictions and